Hey guys, Sean Bougie, surplusfundsriches.net. We're going to talk about going after heirs today. A lot of you guys that watch my channel realize we made basically a U-turn on that. We used to not work with heirs. If everybody was dead on the deed, we would not work with it. And the reason for that is it's cost prohibitive. It costs too much money in most instances if you end up opening up an estate. You don't always have to do that, but if you open up an estate or probate file in order to claim the funds, it costs too much money. Plain and simple. There's other reasons too. Some other factors are people will lie to you like crazy and say that no, I'm the only heir when they're not, right? A lot of different elements to that make it a lot more difficult to work and made us kind of take a pass on it for, well, forever. Frankly, we weren't working with heirs. We recently opened it up. But this is what's important for you guys to understand, even the guys that haven't purchased the program. This is going to be important for you to understand what you need to know about going after heirs when the deed holders have passed away. Okay? So we even still limit it. I'm not going to go after a second cousin. You need to understand something. First of all, in the vast majority of states, the first person you want to try to get a hold of is a spouse. Now, that's going to be more frequent than you think, that there was a spouse and only, let's say the husband was on the deed and he never put her on the deed, but they were actually married, didn't divorce, and they were married prior to the foreclosure. Well, you can actually make a claim. Sometimes you have to open up probate or estate, but you can actually make a claim that that was a marital asset and go after it. The other one, and that's not overly hard to do. The other one that we go after besides that is children, because in the majority of places you've got spouse and you've got kids, and that's how it starts. Okay, now in some states, just so you know, it'll actually, you can continue down that road where it's kids of kids and all that, or it'll also come back up to parents. Sometimes it'll go over to siblings. It's a little different state to state. There isn't this universal setup for that. So you need to know that. So what we're going to pursue is if there was a spouse at the time of the foreclosure and they hadn't divorced, or if it was children, if there were children of the person. Once you open it up, once you get into children of children, or you have to come back up and go to siblings and then they've passed and you're going to their kids and all of a sudden the tree has just exploded. Okay, this airship tree, so to speak, has just exploded. And we actually put together a mind map for our guys so that they can keep track of who's who. But when you get into that, when you're going into cousins and second cousins and all that, you're going from maybe talking to 2 to 4 people, right? Kids. The average right now, I think, is 2.1 kids. That's the average. I know there's no such thing as a 0.1 kid, but that's the average. It's usually between 2 and 4 people you're working with. Once you get into, we're talking about it blowing up. That could be 2 to 4 kids of 4 different siblings. So now we're talking about 16 people. It's kind of a nightmare, and it's corralling cats, right? Trying to get all these cats together. It's just not going to work. So we go after spouses and we go after children, and that's pretty much it. Now, another thing to realize when you're talking about going after heirs, one of the things we've told people in the past, if you're concerned about whether or not these people are alive, do a quick obituary search online. Literally their name, city and state, obituary. And if there is one, it'll pop up. Now look, simple fact, sad fact, is a lot of people die alone, okay? So there won't be an obit online, even though they've passed away. Also, the majority of people out there don't actually open estate or probate cases, just so you know. So that's another thing to consider when you're looking at working with heirs. Kind of a big deal. You need to know what you're getting into here, all right? But even searching obits, a lot of times because people die alone, you're not going to see anything and you're going to think they're alive. A good skip tracing service is going to give you possible relatives and associates and even tell you what their place is. Are they kids? Are they a spouse? Whatever. A good skip tracing system is going to tell you that. Now, an obit search will at least help you start. And if they did have an obit, again, a lot of people die alone, or the family doesn't really care or take the time to do an obituary. But if there was an obituary, it's a great place to start because it will give you information. Typically, it will list any surviving spouses and surviving children. So that's a very important place to start. It'll even sometimes even break it down by these were kids from a previous marriage or whatever for you. So obit searches still help quite a bit, but nothing can replace a really good skip tracing system. Okay. Now we recently opened up. We used to kick it back and go, sorry, everybody's dead on the deed, because we just didn't want to screw with it. Too many variables that can come into play that make it hard to do. Plus, it was cost prohibitive. But now we have a different central attorney that we're working with. But I want everybody to know, because we've got some old timers that are with us that had turned in some stuff that had gotten kicked back, and now we're taking it. So of course they're turning in stuff that got kicked back before because everybody had passed, and now we're going after it again. That does not mean we're going after second cousins and all this and just making this crazy trying to claim 16 people across the tree. We're only going after kids and spouses, but that makes up a large percentage of what we're going after. So we're still working smart, okay, not just hard. So I wanted everybody to know where we were with that, and I wanted people to get an idea. Like, for instance, the process is extremely important to us. One of the differences in the process is you have to change how you approach people. And you don't just approach people and go, I'm looking for the family of, or I'm looking for Jerry related to da-da-da. The key to working or getting heirs to return your call, and all this stuff is, guys, when we put stuff in the lab, we're working on it for weeks, working through all the possible processes we need to put in place. Like, we have to change the way that we put it into our database management. We're still using the file name of the deceased, but we reference that file name on another entry. You've got to think about stuff like that. Another thing that we do with heirs is when we reach out, it's not family of, are you the kid of, this is about the estate of, it's we're trying to get heirs of the person, because heirs brings with it the idea that there's money there. Gives them a heads up that there's money. We're trying to get the heirs here, okay? You hear heir and you immediately think money, estate, something to be divided. So it's going to get us more calls. This is the kind of thing that we have to think of before we launch either a new system, or in this case, before we allow for different types of submissions on our existing system. So important you guys understand that. It's not just, oh, we're going to accept a different type of people. It's now I have to change the entire process for how my case managers are going after that. Really important, because a lot of people, hey, look, if nothing else, I respect people that shoot first and figure it out later. I really do, because at least you're doing it. You're not thinking about, with analysis paralysis, thinking about what could happen, what couldn't happen. I love people that shoot first. But in reality, if you've got an actual crew and you're doing this as a business and you want to make money at it and you want to consistently make money at it, you have to think of the process. So that's all. That is to say that we put a lot of time, money, and energy into allowing people to also submit cases that involved estate or probate filings. Hope this has helped you guys understand, and I hope you have a great day.